Think about your favorite game when you were growing up. The way it felt to move through the game, the way it felt to make the choices that you were making, whenever it got exciting when you found something. It probably inspired you to think about the real world differently. Now, if this was back in 1997, it might have looked something like this. Or a little bit more recently, it might have looked something like this. Now, these two games have quite a bit in common, but what I want to talk about is the camera system. Both of them are 2D top-down games, and both of them have a fixed camera system. Compare that to modern AAA 3D games. Almost everybody has the camera moving independently from the character. Now, if this was being utilized back in these two examples, back in your favorite game when you were growing up, how might it have felt to move through the world differently? How might it have felt to experience those exciting moments differently? And most importantly, how might it have inspired you to see the world differently? My name is Taylor Kelty, and this is the improved utilization of dynamic camera angles. Now, speaking of 3D games today, we have the camera behind the character and a lock-on system. Typically, if you're not locked on to something, then one stick moves the camera while the other stick moves a person. Just like if I want to move this way, I can look this way. Just like in real life, just like in 3D games. Now, when you bring this to 2D games, it opens up whole new advantages that aren't typically appreciated or even thought about in 3D games. Think about it like this. If you have one person at the bottom there fighting these two red figures, in a 3D game, you typically would just have to back off or think about which direction to strafe around them. But in this case, when we're locked onto one, we have all these different options of whether or not we want to sprint to the right or wait for the opportune moment to jut in between them. In a 3D game, of course, this is still possible, but in a 2D game, we're able to see the full picture so much more clearly. And speaking of seeing the full picture, think about when you're doing a maze. Obviously, up and down and left and right are useful when you're doing a maze, but when you're moving the maze instead of moving your pencil, it feels a lot more like you're actually running through the hedge maze at the end of The Shining than it is about just figuring out which way is up and down and left and right. When orientation matters that much in exploration, the immersion goes way up and mazes become a whole new game. Now, full screen utilization in combat is something that 3D games aren't able to utilize. Right now, in real life, I can't see behind me. In a 3D game, you can't see behind the camera. But in a 2D top-down game, you're able to see in front of, behind, to either side of the protagonist at all times. You have full situational awareness. Now, the real fun of this comes in angle play. When the camera is above the protagonist, everything around you is relative to a circle, 360 degrees. That means that every time the camera is rotating, it's going to be a number between 0 and 360. Alright, now I have about 30 seconds to show you some gameplay footage. So you can see in the bottom left we have 4 panels that are lighting up, based on which angle I'm facing, like north, south, east, and west. Those are all different, or lighting up in different areas. So let's go ahead and let's add some abilities to those. These are just some interesting abilities that I thought would be kind of fun for a dungeon crawler. So now, let's see, Scorpio. If Scorpio is active, then I have piercing shots. You can see my bullets are going right through. This is a game about sort of John Wicking your way up a Tower of Babel, by the way. Capricorn here. Spin move. Depending on which angle I'm facing, different abilities become active. You can see the angle up there in the corner. How would you implement this mechanic? When you're adding a whole new dimension to game design, the imagination is the limit. Thank you.